Okay, it's looking promising. Says live video is starting.
Let's go.
Yeah, all right, there we go. We're there. Hooray. Okay, wonderful, wonderful. I'm so excited. Okay, um, what are we? We're at Wednesday. Hello, everyone. Happy Wednesday. I am super excited to be joining you tonight. Tonight we have Coach Isiah Mitchell with us. Coach Isiah has come in and we're going to dive into emotional eating, how our relationship with food affects us, also, and really be able to provide some foundational knowledge on how we can get ourselves into some not optimal spaces, but also how we can, cultivate some tools so that we can have a better relationship with food so that we're not, using food as one of our coping skills and instead we're using it as something to nourish and fuel our body. But anyhow, welcome, Isiah. Thank you for joining us. I'm really looking forward to our conversation tonight.
Yeah. Thank you for having me. Also, very excited to be here. It's a topic I'm unfortunately, intimately familiar with myself. I've been through the ringer with my own fitness journey, my own relationship with food. So definitely excited to get into that.
Awesome, awesome. So that kind of leads me into a question. It was a very leading statement. So how did you come into the whole coaching space
Yeah,
and working with people that, don't have the best relationship with food?
yeah. Love telling this story. So my fitness weight loss journey, whatever you want to call it, I did have a pretty big goal at hand when I first started. So I ended up losing a little over 100 pounds from the ages about 15 to like 18, 19 is kind of when I got to the end of that. But I definitely remember being 15 years old in the doctor's office. They were going over my cholesterol levels, and he told me I was not going to see 30 if I
Oh,
didn't
wow.
get my stuff together, which, knowing what we know now about like cholesterol and like total levels, LDL, HDL, may not necessarily have been true, but that was exactly what I needed to hear at the time to get me in the gym. So I was far from athletic growing up. I sucked at every single sport I tried: baseball, basketball, the classic always pick last for gym class. And I definitely didn't start my fitness journey the right way. I would run like 7 miles every day after school until I was like literally to the point where I was feeling sick, was going to throw up. Then eventually discovered strength training, realized I need to, speed up my metabolism, build some muscle, and still didn't really know what I was doing. So I would go into the gym without a plan. Whatever we're going to do today, I'm just going to hit every muscle as hard as I can until I'm crawling out of the gym. Eventually found, more structured, well put together programs. And then everything came together when I discovered macros and tracking calories. So that was what unlocked my ability to make consistent progress week over week, month over month, and then actually lose that 100 pounds. But once I got to the end of that journey, I didn't know where to go from here. So, just to kind of paint a picture for you, I'm about 20 years old, eating like 1,600 calories, working out like an animal. I have no energy. My sleep sucks. I have zero sex drive, and I didn't know where to go from here. I had no idea about maintenance calories or like reverse dieting. So then fast forward a couple years later, I gained a lot of the weight back from binging and emotional eating. I just didn't know, like, hey, I need to start adding back in some food so I can maintain this weight loss. So that was when I discovered Mind Pump and reverse dieting, speeding up your metabolism. And they are what prompted me or really inspired me to take my journey and now bring this more sustainable transformation to other people. So that's why I became a coach and a trainer officially in 2021. And here we are now.
No, that's amazing. So it's crazy. At 15, your cholesterol was so high, he was concerned
Mm-hmm.
that you were going to die. That's
Yeah.
insane.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. No, and I think like how you got into the space is how a lot of us got into the space. We didn't know what we were doing. We just knew that
Mm-hmm.
we needed to achieve some sort of a transformation, but that's super, super powerful. Um, So you lost the weight. I think that's something a lot of people can relate to. They
Hmm.
go on a diet, they lose some weight for health reasons, for personal reasons, whatever. But then, like you said, they don't know what to do. They don't understand what they're doing. And then you end up in that space where you're binging because you're starving. And if you
Yeah.
don't have a great relationship with food in the first place, then, the binge is going to cause guilt feelings, which is going to snowball into more eating, which is going to cause more guilt. And then you kind of
Hmm.
end up in this giant snowball, that's just crashing down the hill. So how did you learn to get out of that?
Yeah. So first of all, just getting over the fear of eating more food was the very first step. Like the word like bulk or building phase like scared the heck out of me because I mean I was like
Yeah.
absolutely shredded for the first time in my life. I had like a visible six pack and I was terrified of gaining any sort of body fat. So just kind of accepting that that's a completely normal and healthy part of the diet after the diet because I think that's a big part a lot of people don't realize needs to
Mhm.
be there. We need the diet before the diet, so getting you metabolically, physically, and mentally ready to actually lose weight. Then there's the losing weight part, and then there's the diet after the diet. So that looked like me actually hiring a coach of my own and just being humble enough to know that like even as a health professional myself, there's nothing wrong with admitting, hey, I've got a problem and I don't really know how to fix it. These people specialize in fixing my exact problem. Maybe I should go hire them and get that thing fixed. So that was where right away they brought me up to my maintenance calories. So I went from like 1600 calories to like 2750 pretty much overnight and immediately started feeling better, looking better, performing better, binging less. So that was a really big part of it was just getting my calories where they needed to be. And then a big part of it was what we're going to get into is understanding more about relationship with food and emotional eating. So a big thing with your relationship with food is it's just like your people relationships. If there is hurt or baggage or trauma or avoidance, we're going to have a really hard time having a good relationship. So imagine avoiding your partner, actively avoiding your husband or your wife, probably not going to have a very good relationship. It's the same thing if you're avoiding carbs, avoiding pizza, avoiding wine, wings, whatever it is. Avoidance never makes anything better. And then also imagine speaking to your partner the way you speak about food. So think of like the labels that we use: unhealthy, fattening. This is a good food. This is a bad food. This is a cheat food. This is a trigger food. Imagine labeling your partner with all of these negative things and then expecting them to be nice to you, expecting to have a positive relationship with them. So I think the first step we have to take is really reassessing our food language. So, like I just said, the labels like good, bad only creates an unhealthy narrative around these foods. And a salad is not emotionally superior to a donut. They're both, inanimate objects. They don't have any moral value. We put that moral value on them. So I'm sure everyone here has heard this phrase many times. One salad isn't going to save you, just like one cookie, one donut, one glass of wine isn't going to kill you. It's all about balance. So the whole food language thing I think is a big place to start for sure.
Oh my God, yes. And I've never heard, this is so cool because I've been in this space for a long time, but I have never heard anyone explain the relationship with food just like it is a relationship, with your
Mhm.
partner, with someone that you care about. But it makes so much sense.
Yeah, I'm
That's
I'm
huge.
big on relatable analogies. They make
Yeah,
everything so
that is
much
huge.
so much easier to understand, and there'll be plenty more to come as we
Yeah.
get into more of my notes. But yeah.
No, that is awesome. I love that. And I do think that a lot of the emotions with food go back to like we've learned to use it as a coping tool,
Hmm.
just like any other substance, which usually goes back to, like you said, past trauma. So how do you work out of that
Yeah,
without
so we can
having to
get
go to
into,
therapy for years?
yeah, I mean, one thing I tell my clients all the time is working with me and a therapist at the same time is going to put you in the best position for long-term success, because as often as I may wear the hat of a therapist, I'm not a
Mhm,
licensed therapist. And there are definitely things where I'm like, okay, this is outside of my scope of practice. Let's get
mhm,
someone else in your corner as well. But two of the biggest tools that we use with our clients is journaling and meditation. I'm sure everyone here at one point in their life has been told to journal or told to meditate, but I feel like a lot of the information online makes it very woo woo and like pie in the sky and not really
mhm.
concrete or tangible.
Right.
So when it comes to meditation, the easiest way I've been able to explain this is all we're trying to do is just sit in silence and let yourself feel whatever is there. We're not trying to clear your mind because that's impossible. And that's also not
Mhm.
relaxing. You are actively
No.
trying to clear your mind. Not going to happen. What we want to do is be okay with feeling whatever you're feeling in your body. And you can say this out loud to yourself. It's okay for me to feel anxiety in my body. It's okay for me to feel stress, anxiety, overwhelm in my body. So think of this as like literally pulling up a chair for that anxiety and you're sitting with it. You're having a conversation with it. And when you do that, it literally doesn't have any other choice but to leave. It's the same exact thing as when you face a fear, it doesn't have a choice. It now has to leave. So with meditation, we are becoming the space that makes all things okay to feel. We don't put any judgment on these feelings and we don't attach them to our identity. Just because I'm experiencing anxiety doesn't mean I'm an anxious person. I'm just experiencing anxiety, and that's okay. And then when it comes to journaling, it can be literally as simple as just write what you are feeling. If you're
Mhm.
sad, write about how sad you are. If you're if you just emotionally ate, write about that. What happened
Yep.
before? How did you feel about yourself during? And now how do you feel after? Having a bad day, write about how bad a day you had. It really just comes to getting that first sentence on paper and then just letting the pen flow. Whatever comes in your mind or in your heart, put that onto paper. So, as far as like actual concrete tools, journaling and meditation are going to be some of your best friends there for sure.
Right. No, I agree 100%. Those are the things that we tell our clients too, as far as the journaling and the meditation goes. And they don't cost, those are two tools that cost you nothing.
Yep, and you can do them anywhere
Yeah.
for as
Yeah,
long as you want.
absolutely.
And even if
Hmm.
you, it doesn't matter how long you do them or how frequently you do them, or even if you don't notice anything afterwards, you're always getting this compound benefit of becoming more in tune with yourself every time.
Yes, it raises awareness 100%.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And then another great analogy here around emotions and really how to treat yourself when you slip up or mess up is the same way you would with a child. So imagine you're like, you're in your house and you're looking out the window across the street and someone's kid is like playing in the yard with a dog. And then the dog gets hit by a car. Tragic. The kid is wrecked. He's crying. Would you walk up to him and say, "Hey, here's a bowl of ice cream. That'll fix it. Just stop crying, eat the ice cream, eat the chips. You'll be good to go"? No. You would be that space for that kid that makes those emotions okay to feel. You would hold them, you would hug them, you would console them. It's not any different with ourselves. So we need to treat ourselves the exact same way we would if our child was in this situation. So it's always a really great mental experiment to change whatever just happened to you to this just happened to my kid. This just happened to my best friend. What would I do if they came to me voicing that problem and looking for advice? That's how you want to do it for yourself, because it's never, never the negative, self-deprecating way we usually address it with ourselves. So I love that experiment there.
Oh yeah. No, that is a really good tip. We have quite a few on Facebook that are watching. So, ladies, if you have any questions, I can see the chat. I'm monitoring that on my phone, but go ahead and drop them in the chat and I'll make sure that we get them answered for you tonight. Um, so when we were first, started our conversation this evening, you were talking about, some of the labels that we put on our food of like good and bad
Mm-hmm.
and this is, those drive me nuts. But
Yeah.
how would people work? This is so bad. What are some tips or tools that people could use that would maybe start to remove or at least lessen those
Mm-hmm.
labels?
Yeah. So the first step, same thing with improving anything, getting rid of any habit, starting a new habit. We always got to start with awareness. So it's a really good idea to really just do a food language audit, like over the course of a day, 2 days, a week. Literally just write down how you label food. Like, what do you say? Do you say good food, bad food, cheat food, trigger food, fat burning, fat storing, healthy, unhealthy? Just start to create some awareness around these different words that you use. And then really all we need to do is just eliminate them. We don't need to do a lot of changing or replacing. All of these labels, trigger, cheat, unhealthy, fattening, all of those get eliminated and we're left with just food. It's just
Mhm.
food. Salad,
Okay.
food. Cookie, food. Uh, Grass-fed ground beef, food. Bag of Sour Patch Kids, food. Neither is fat storing, neither is fat burning, neither is healthy, neither is unhealthy. And this is because, one, junk food, we all kind of know, things come to mind when people hear the word junk food. So that's really just to get the gears turning. Um, is only unhealthy when consumed in excess. And we see this in studies, like when we put people in a controlled calorie deficit and they're eating, usually they're provided like a certain amount of this, unhealthy food. We see the
Mhm.
same exact level of fat loss. We see the same improvements in health markers compared to the group that was only eating quote unquote unhealthy food. So this stuff is really only unhealthy when you're in a calorie surplus, when you're eating more calories than you're burning. And then as far as like tactically how to go about getting more comfortable with these foods that you have a hard time with, this is going to be implementation over avoidance. So, what I like to have my clients do is every single day, you are going to eat one of your trigger foods in a small serving. So, this could literally be a,
Mhm.
regular sized Snickers bar. They're like what, 200, 250 calories.
Yeah.
Very easy to fit within your calorie budget. And that's the key. So we're just going to use an arbitrary avatar. This person needs 2,000 calories a day to lose body fat. 20% of that is 400 calories. 20%, that is moderation. That is not overindulgence. 80% is still coming from whole natural foods that are going to give us the vitamins, minerals, flavonoids, polyphenols, all the different stuff we need. You've got 400 calories to play with that can be whatever your heart desires. You're still going to lose weight. You're still going to see those same improvements in your health markers, but
Mhm.
you're going to stop binging. So usually the culprit for binging or stress eating more often than not lies in restriction. So if we stop restricting, we're going to subsequently stop binging. So what I have my clients do is every day for 45 days, eat that Snickers bar, fit it into your calorie budget. And then step two is literally just have your boom moment where you look back and realize I've been eating a Snickers bar every day for 45 days and losing weight, and I feel great, and I'm not binging anymore. So more often than not, it's rooted in restriction. And if we stop restricting, we stop binging.
Yes, 100%. That's such a good tool, I think, to just work on calling all of food simply food, because that's what it
Mhm.
is.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
it doesn't, like you said, food does not have a moral value. We assign that to food for some ridiculous reason.
Mhm.
And it does nothing except cause us issues long term.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I'm sure a lot of people are kind of getting that light bulb moment going off in their
I
head
hope
right now.
so.
Like, hey, I use those labels and I don't have a great
Right.
relationship with food and I'm having a hard time losing weight. It's like, okay, let's address that because that's probably the root and probably honestly one of the most important things. Because for most people, it's not a calories issue, it's not a workouts issue, it's not a motivation or consistency issue. It's a inner game mindset and relationship with food and relationship with yourself issue.
Oh yeah.
Identity is a whole other topic we could get
Oh yeah.
into another training.
Right. Yeah. No, 100%. It's like, you're talking about assigning the or labeling the foods good and bad, and my brain is thinking like, how women speak to themselves, but which is,
Mm-hmm.
is never good. And
Oh, and
seems to
also
take a
just the
whole lot of
marketing
practice.
that's
Oh yeah.
targeted towards women. It's terrible. It's
It
terrible, and
it
it's been
really
around
is.
since literally the 1960s, and it hasn't really got much better. All the buzzwords that mean absolutely nothing, like toned, like what that
Yeah,
actually means is less body fat and more muscle. But most women definitely have an aversion towards
exactly.
building muscle, but like that's actually what they want. They just don't know it.
Right. No, I know. I know. Um, yes, but trying to bring it back to our relationship with food. So if a person is, they're working the steps, and they were working on, removing those labels from food, they're working on their journaling, they're making time for meditation. Um, it's invariable at some point that they're going to overindulge in something. And then
Mhm.
that usually brings up a whole bunch of guilt. How do you go about dealing with that? Or what are some good tips on that?
Yeah, yeah. So like what we went over already, both journaling and meditation are
Hmm.
great opportunities for that. Like if you can catch yourself right before you binge and just start journaling and just write about what just happened, amazing. You're far less likely to actually commit to that. And one thing I did on my own journey is I would actually take out a piece of paper and I would write down, do you really want to do this right now? And I'd put yes or no. And I'd make myself circle one of them. I never circled yes, never. But the times I let that feeling trick me into saying yes, I hadn't taken out the piece of paper and I
Okay.
hadn't written it down. So that was a really big component for me. And then even if you do end up overindulging, still an amazing opportunity to journal afterwards. What led up to that? What did I want to happen? What actually happened? And then what could I do differently next time? Those are some really good questions to ask. And we want to approach this without the guilt, without the shame, without the regret. And the way to do this goes back to our exercise of, okay, instead of I just binged, I just overate, my child just binged and is coming to me for advice. How would I talk to them? That's how I need to talk to me. So if you do that, there's no way you're going to let that guilt, shame, or like self-deprecation leak in because that's not how you would talk to your kid whatsoever. And one really important thing to understand is not all emotional eating is bad. It's not always bad. Eating because you're happy about like a promotion or a life event, that is totally fine. Where it becomes an issue is when we use it to numb, suppress, or avoid our negative emotions. So, emotional eating is a verb, it's not a noun. It's something that you've done, it's not who you are as a person. So, you, the viewer, you are not an emotional eater. It's something that you've done. It's an action. So we need to remove that from both our vocabulary and our identity. Just removing the label of I am a, like, it's like someone wanting to quit smoking, but they identify as a smoker. Not going to happen. It's rooted in who they think they are. The story that they're telling themselves every day is I'm a smoker. You can't quit smoking if you identify as a smoker. You can't quit emotionally eating if you identify as an emotional eater.
Right. Oh my God, that makes so much sense. This is way deeper than I generally go with people,
This
which is really
is
awesome.
what it's all about.
I
This is what it's all
Yeah, no,
about.
I love this. This is so good. Every time you're talking about, when you've done this and how you would speak to yourself if you would say that to your child, that's it. Just I have to say this. I know that's not really on our topic, but when women talk to themselves, there's often not a lot of self-love. And I think that the whole
Mhm.
eating thing goes back to that, because the words that women say to themselves when they perceive that they've failed on their diet because of whatever are so negative.
Mhm.
And like you've said so many times tonight, Isaiah, would you say, and I've asked our clients this, would you say those words to your daughter? Would you tell her that she's gross? Would you tell her that she's fat? Would you tell her that she's disgusting?
Mhm.
And I know that you wouldn't. So why do you say them to yourselves?
Yeah,
And it goes back
absolutely.
to that self-love. And I think a lot of the emotional eating problems that women face go back to that self-love component.
Oh yeah, and they really go all the way back to childhood. I can't remember
Oh yeah.
where these studies were done or when, but there is a very, very large percentage of women that are either battling weight loss and or emotional binge, stress eating with a history of some sort of, like sexual trauma from their
Mhm.
childhood. That is
Yes.
extremely, extremely common. So getting into things like inner child is a very big thing we
Mhm.
do. And then inside my identity module, one of the exercises I have them do as homework on the end is actually writing themselves a letter about who they want to be going forward. Because you decide who you're going to be.
Mhm.
We decide the story
That's
we
true.
tell ourselves every day. So this goes back to like, if you could be anybody you want, it wouldn't be the emotional binge eater with no motivation and can't stay consistent and is super mean to themselves. Just because that's who you are right now, you have no obligation to be that person today, 5 minutes from now, tomorrow, just like you have no obligation to be the same person you were 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 5 minutes ago. You can make a conscious decision to change that whenever. So what I have them do is I'm trying to remember the full experiment here. It's something like if you were in a coma and when you woke up, you would completely forget who you've been up until this point, but you have to write yourself a letter to remind yourself who you are. What would you put in there? Wouldn't be any of the negative shit that we just talked about.
Right. Oh yeah.
So that experiment, that usually brings some tears for sure. I've had
Yeah.
had clients that's the one they'll watch and usually message me afterwards like, "Hey, I'm crying, but I'm doing the homework." So that one's
Right.
a deep one for sure.
No, no, that really is. It's super valuable. Um, we've got gosh, there is a lot of ladies on here. Um, Barbara just said that thank you, and it makes total sense to not guilt ourselves when we fall into that trap. So they're finding some value, which is exciting.
I love it. I
If
love it.
anyone does have questions, we've got Isaiah for a couple more minutes, so go ahead and drop them into the chat and we'll get them answered. I know you had prepared some notes that you wanted to go over at the end. Was there something that we didn't cover? Was there anything
We've
else you
gotten
wanted to share?
through pretty much all of it as we kind of just scattered, um,
Yeah.
just kind of scattered across. But yeah, everything I wanted to go over, we got through it. I did have one more point here of banishing food scarcity. So like Thinking
Oh
in
yeah.
terms of can and can't often backfires. And a really good replacement for that is get to. So,
Mhm.
firstly, you don't have to lose weight. You get to. You don't have to work out. You get to. You don't have to eat nutrient dense, healthy food. You get to. You don't have to go set yourself a daily step goal and go get your walks outside. You get to do all of this stuff. And there are millions of people who cannot do any of that stuff and they would kill for it. And then another point here around just like food choices in general, you can eat only vegan food and still overeat. You can
Oh
eat
yeah.
paleo and still overeat. And you could have the occasional cupcake, remain in a calorie deficit, and lose weight sustainably, enjoyably, and consistently. So it's all about balance. And I really try to push people away from diets that have a name. The only diet you should be following is the your name here diet, the Isiah diet, the Clarissa diet. And that is going to be different person to person, not only from a food choice perspective, from a meal timing perspective to a calorie and macronutrient composition perspective, like all of it's going to be different. So if your diet has a name other than your actual first name, should probably run really, really far away from that.
Right. No, I love that. I think that too, when you reframe things, in the frame of you get to do something, it also just so helps to promote that practice of gratitude because like you said, there's so
Mm-hmm.
many people that don't get to. There's people that cannot walk. There's people
Yeah.
that cannot literally afford to eat any better. I mean, there's people that live on the street. Do you think that they're having the same problems you're having? Probably, and they're worse,
Right.
and they're in a position where they're not able to do anything about it, but you are, so therefore you get to.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, every moment of the day, there's probably someone at the gym that literally doesn't have legs or legs that don't work, and
Right,
they're in there training
right,
their upper body because they get to, and they
yeah,
have that ability, and they want to take advantage of all the amazing things our bodies can do for us. And that's such a better way to approach this rather than a punishment standpoint. It's a I get to do this and I just want to see what my body is capable of and continue improving that. So this kind of goes into like images or issues with like body image. Um,
mhm,
really starting to analyze all the different things your body can do for you that we take for granted on a daily basis. Just being able to walk out to my car, to be able to grab and hold a water bottle and literally give myself the life juice that we need. Like there's so many things our body does for us, most of it completely subconscious. Like imagine if you had to consciously adjust your heart rate or the rate at which blood is pumping through your vessels. Like there's so many things our body just does for us that we don't even have to think about. So that I've also found really, really helpful for like body image type issues.
oh yeah,
Instead
yeah,
of like, what does my body look like? What can my body do? Or what is my body going to be able to do in the future as I show up for
mhm.
myself consistently?
Right. No, that one is huge. I think a lot of the women in our group are perimenopausal, and
Mm-hmm.
I really feel like this is such a prime time to really, really just pour so much care into yourself because
Oh,
it's just going
absolutely.
to enhance the quality of your life in the future. And like, I don't want to be in a nursing home. I don't want to be in a wheelchair or like,
Mm-hmm.
slumped over a walker. I want to have a full and active life for as long as I'm able to have that. And what I choose to do with my body now is
Yeah.
going to determine what that looks like.
And I'm sure you've had many, people in your community or even clients or just talking to people
Mm.
on the internet tell you like, "Oh, once you get to my age, you'll
Oh
understand,
yeah.
you'll get it." It's like,
No.
"Yes, sure. If I spent the first 6 decades of my life eating like crap, not exercising, sitting on the couch all day, I wouldn't be surprised if I felt like you did when I got to your age." But
Right.
that's just simply not the way it has to be. And if we are prioritizing the things that need to be prioritized, like you can look, feel, and perform incredibly at literally any age. Like I've got clients in their late 70s canceling knee surgeries, getting into their husband's lifted truck, like without assistance. Like it's never too late to start. The best time to start was 10 years ago, but the new best time to start is right now.
Right. Yeah. 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 And it's never too late. I see that
Mhm.
a lot. Is 50 too late? Is 60? No, it's
Yeah.
too late when you're not existing anymore. That
Yes,
would be too late.
exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
Put a dumbbell in my hand as I'm passing away. Just get squeeze one more
Right.
rep out.
Right. Have you seen the meme that goes around that says, if I die while I'm lifting, add some more weight to the bar and
Then
then
yeah,
call
then call
911?
911.
Yes, that's hilarious.
Totally agree.
Um, uh, we've got some thank yous, some more thank yous. So that's fantastic.
Amazing.
But I think that is a good note and a really profound message. I do want to thank you for everything that you've shared with us tonight. I think there's
Yeah,
some
for sure.
super valuable tips and some really great information inside of this training.
Awesome.
If any of our clients wanted to reach out and talk to you more about, the emotional aspect of eating or how they could improve their relationship with food,
Mhm.
where could they find you, Isaiah?
Yeah, so Facebook would be probably the best place to get a hold of me. That's where I'm most active on. So if you wanted to just drop my profile in the comments or something like that, that would be
Yeah,
great.
sure.
And what I'd love to do is actually gift your community my psychology of fat loss video course. So it's a 3-part
Oh,
video series. The first one is becoming bulletproof around the scale, ending the war with emotional eating, and then changing your identity and rewriting your story. So that's going to have that writing that letter to yourself
mhm.
exercise at the end. But yeah, it's 100% free. Right when they click the link, it'll
Oh,
just bring up the landing page with the 3 videos, and they can just click play. But yeah, I could send you the link for that if you wanted to drop it
yeah,
inside the Facebook Live here.
I will do that. That is amazing. Thank you.
Perfect. Yeah, of course, of course. And
Yeah,
were there
and then
any
I'm going to message you
lagging
some
questions in
in
the comments that we missed?
I'm not seeing any. No, we just have several thank yous.
Awesome. Awesome. Just going to find that link for the course here real quick.
Okay. Do you need a resource as far as like trauma counseling goes for your clients?
Yeah, that'd be amazing. I'd love that.
Okay, I'll send you some information. We have a lady we work with.
Awesome. And I just sent you that course
Okay,
through Facebook Messenger.
perfect. Let me get that. Um, I'm not going to touch the stream in because I'm afraid I'll break it.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm scared to
But
even try that.
but I'll do that as soon as the video is posted. Um, But thank you for that. And
Yeah.
like Isaiah said, if any of you have questions, if you want to dive into more of that emotional eating aspect, I'll put Coach Isaiah's profile link in the bottom comments of the video as well. But thank you so much for your time tonight, Isaiah. I really appreciate it.
Yeah,
I
absolutely. It was
know
a
that our
great time.
community has really enjoyed that. It's been some really good information. So thank you for joining us.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Appreciate the opportunity. Hope everyone got a ton of value, and hopefully you'll see me here again in the future sometime.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, thank you so much. Have a wonderful rest of your night.
Absolutely. You too, Clarissa.
Thank you.
Take care, everyone.
Thank you. All right. Bye-bye.